Hey guys, Vicefister here. The march through beta goes on. Not much new has changed with Evoker, except the super secret hidden changes that were edited out of the patch notes last minute. We'll see those just in time for beta Mythic Plus keys. So I've just been spending time running more dungeons as both Devastation and Preservation. More to come on that in the future. And getting a more firm grasp on what changes I'd like to see thrown our way to make Evoker play better and give it more depth. After all, this is what beta's for. I've also been posting these same thoughts in the Evoker feedback thread. Go check it out. Evoker has been a godsend for me personally, as I decided to main swap the second I heard there was a new ranged DPS/healer hybrid coming to WoW. That's just what I like. I picked up Boomkin as a main at the start of Shadowlands, and throughout the expansion feel as though I more or less mastered the spec, and I'm setting my sights on doing the same with Evoker and Dragonflight, and taking you guys with me along the journey. But I'm gonna be brutally honest in this video. I've been having a ton of fun with Evoker, but there's still a lot of worries I have with the class. It's far from perfect. Despite this truth, I'm still confident on swapping mains for Dragonflight, and I'll show you why with my top pros and cons for this Devastation Evoker. Let's start with the pros. Our 2-target cleave looks to be amongst the best in the game, along the likes of Arms Warrior and Destruction Warlock. The combination of Scintillation and Eternity Span are a match made in heaven for getting some sweet cleave procs out of those Eternity Surges. Keep in mind that while Arms Warrior's Sweeping Strikes and Destro Warlock's Havoc may be stronger for upfront burst, they only have up to 50% uptime on that cleave. Meanwhile, Evoker has 100% uptime on that potential to prog cleave at any point that you're casting Disintegrate. On top of that, with the Firestorm EBF build, you could potentially just keep up permanent Fire Breath on 2 targets pretty easily, especially with more haste, which could lead to less bursty but more consistent 2-target cleave overall, which leads into my next pro. Consistency. We have a strong target swap with little to no ramp up time, so you can swap to that Dutiful Attendant and give him a quick swirly. This is an extremely strong type of damage profile because focusing down a priority target is a mainstay of boss mechanics in World of Warcraft raiding and dungeons. Many specs have to make it a point to pool resources or delay a cooldown to do much of anything to those adds, but we can just turn and Godzilla them. Keep in mind it'll be extremely important for us Evokers to get used to swapping to targets extremely fast, and be the first ones to start hitting them, as our mastery will gain the most benefit at that time. A third pro is our utility. We have extremely high utility not only for ourselves in dungeon and raid, with strong personal and group off healing, but we also give mana to a lucky healer. Fly With Me has a potential niche of cheesing a mechanic or really helping your hunter, priest, or squishy. They will absolutely love you. Time Spiral has a movement reset. THs will love you. Mini raid CD for the group in Zephyr, and extremely high mobility. Now let's get into the cons. Alright, the elephant in the room. Everyone's talking about it. 25-yard range feels less like a fun or unique quirk in Evoker's class identity and more like an arbitrary restriction on what we have to wrestle with. Not only that, but historically, optimal strategies for raid bosses often include range stacking together at a very far range, which of course hurts Evokers heavily. At worst, it's an outright liability versus specific mechanics, and at best, it only increases Evoker's skill ceiling in the worst way. It's definitely more manageable for Devastation, and it's a little bit worse for Preservation. I could really see Blizzard end up biting the bullet on this one. It's just not working out. My solution, give us 40-yard range, keep 25-yard on the Empower as a happy medium if they want to keep the quirk of positional requirements like they intended. There's nothing wrong with positional requirements. In fact, I enjoy them. 25-yard Empower is fine. I mean, come on Blizz, even DHs outranges. Empowers. Speaking of Empowers, there's plenty more room for experimentation on what they intended to be a unique type of cast. As it stands, you pretty much always full Empower Fire Breath without thought, while Essence Surge only takes a fraction more. 1 target, rank 1. 2 targets, rank 1. 4, rank 2. 6, rank 3, and so on. This is assuming Eternity Span, of course. There is also a GCD at the end of the cast which makes it feel a bit clunkier than I'd like, especially considering the Empower casts are already longer than most others. My extreme super giga hopium take here is giving us a 3rd Empower. Preservation has 3. We have a red one, a blue one. We only have like, what, 2 spells from the Black Dragonflight? A 3rd Empower would be awesome. It would give us more complexity in our rotation, which is always welcome. Con number 3, Mastery. This Mastery, man. It feels like we're only at our baseline when the target is high % HP or during Dragon Rage, and it makes us feel weaker and weaker as the fight goes on, which doesn't really feel too great. Naturally, being a sort of reverse execute, could hurt our stock in competitive environments. We all know how easily the WoW community can be persuaded by some meta calls, so it'd be a crying shame if Evoker takes a big optical hit because they're known as the anti-execute class. That's not great. Look, if they want to keep the flavor of the mastery, that's fine. I don't think you outright have to change mastery to make it feel less bad. I think a solution would be to give us more control over our damage at low % HP by giving us access to an execute in some form. Multiple options here. There could be adjusting existing spells like Unravel in the class tree or Shattering Star to do more in execute range. You can make another passive talent where Essence Burst casts just do more damage to lower HP targets. I mean, there's a lot of ways to kind of just even it out, and that would just feel really good to have more agency over our damage as the fight goes on, instead of just feel weaker and watch our numbers dwindle. That's just really weird. So you might be saying, ouch Vice, these kind of seem like some pretty big hurdles to leap over. So how could you still be so confident in main swapping? Why in the hell should I play Evoker in Dragonflight, you big dummy? And I say to that, then don't. Stick with your sissy class while I do this. In all seriousness, you absolutely should play Evoker for many reasons. It's super fun despite its downsides, and for those of you who haven't had alpha or beta access, the changes that the Devastation developer, the DevDev, has made to the spec thus far have all been great. The talent tree was completely revamped before beta dropped, taking it from good to great, albeit a few talents in need of adjustments. Every new talent or rework has added much needed complexity and interactions to the spec, and the teased burnout change is just another to add to that list. I've sat there with all the homies in the Warmrest Temple Devastation Discord, and we've racked our brains playing game dev while we think up new and exciting ways to expand and improve the spec, because we just love it. But you know what I've realized? Sometimes just the smallest changes in the right direction can cause a ripple effect across everything else. The devs have already been listening and learning from the community's feedback 100 times more than they did in Shadowlands beta. Trust. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like there aren't some big problems with Evoker still. 25-yard range is cringe and everyone knows it. But that's okay. We just started beta on a brand new spec. There are still months of work ahead for Evoker before Dragonflight launches, and even then, tuning still goes on until the Mythic Raid drops. If I haven't scared you away yet, then you're already on your way to becoming a Giga Dragon. Like I said, I'm personally going to have a lot of fun covering this class on the road up to and including Dragonflight and beyond. If you feel more confident in what the Evoker is all about after watching my video, then like and subscribe so you can stay up on all the action I'm dropping. Join the Wormrest Temple Evoker class Discord too, link in description. It's a super active community of people all excited to main Evoker in Dragonflight, or even just give it a go. It's the best way to find discussion, the newest simcraft and theory crafting, and just learn from like-minded people about Evoker. Come say hi. Thanks again, and until next time.